Evening and welcome to Mount Carmel's first ever virtual fundraising event. I'm Ned Hughes, president of Mount Carmel High School. Thank you for joining us as we take a walk down memory lane, recounting the excitement so many outstanding athletes have given to generations of us. I am confident that each of you has your opinion of who is Mount Carmel's greatest athlete, as so many are deserving of that title. Tonight we are going to count down the top 25 athletes you have given to us. I promise you an exciting, fun-filled evening hosted by Jacko Carey and Pablo Iglesias. Finally, I would be remiss if I did not remind you, as a Catholic event, this is a fundraising event. All of the funds that are generated from this event will go to support the athletic programs here at Mount Carmel. Split the Pot tickets are still available online. Access them on Mount Carmel's webpage and buy 1, 2, and 3 tickets. I now invite you to sit back and enjoy the program.
Hey Caravan fans, are you ready to unveil the top 25 Mount Carmel athletes of all time? Let's go!
Let's go indeed. When this familiar sound goes, we are ready to go. We are here live on the campus of 6410 in what we know as the famous alumni gym that has housed basketball, wrestling, and of course legendary fight nights for a one-of-a-kind event, the 2021 Mount Carmel Virtual Night of Champions presented by Wintrust. We've got an exciting night as we are here to talk to so many Caravan greats, live back some old memories of the brown and white, and of course, answer the age-old question, who is the greatest Mount Carmel athlete of all time? I'm your co-host Pablo Iglesias from the class of 2013, and you may have remembered me from some past Caravan Broadcast Network events, and I want to say alongside me as well in a social distance and also a host from the other coast aspect, Mr. Jacko Carey from the class of 2012 is also joining us tonight, as again we'll be co-hosting, talking about a lot of great Caravan stuff, and to kind of bring in a Brian Hurryism from the baseball team. Jacko, what's on your mind, son?
Well, Pablo, of course, it's you. But beyond that, I'm excited. I'm really excited for tonight, and I'm looking forward most to all the stories that are about to come out of this. You know, these are guys that have been telling these stories at bars for years, and now we're finally going to get to all hear them together. These are guys from 50s, 60s, 70s, and these are the most legendary stories that no matter what time you went through Mount Carmel, you were hearing of some of these players. And tonight, we get to answer the final question of who is the greatest athlete of all time. I'm very excited. I think we got a great night ahead of us.
And actually, we're going to jump right into it and tell you the greatest athlete is... No, I'm just kidding. We won't be doing that just yet. We'll be going with the top 25, like we were saying, and part of the reason why we are here tonight is also raise some funds. Like I said, though, have some fun, though, while we raise funds to talk about some great players that have sported the brown and white through so many years, and how the nomination process started as well. It was a $10 donation that got us pretty far, and I believe we raised roughly about $10,000 in the nomination process, so give yourself a pat on the back for that. And what everything kind of came out to, we have so many nominees, Jacko, that have ranged, I'm not kidding, a century's worth of so many Carmel athletes. I mean, who are just some guys that you think should be on the list that you want to see tonight, potentially?
Oh, well, I've had a lot of family. I mean, besides myself and my, I don't know, average swimming career, I wish to see myself on the list. It'd be a nice surprise somewhere thrown in there. No, but I think of people, you know, recently I think of people like Jordan Lynch. It's like one of those names that will always stick with you for Mount Carmel. I think about, you know, like all these, some of the greats of all time, like Donovan McNabb, obviously. I've been checking Twitter, and if you guys want to interact with us on Twitter, use the hashtag MCGreats. And a lot of people have their thoughts. People are saying Joe Williams, Simeon Rice. I've seen a lot of great names. So I am excited to see where we get to.
And Jacko, of course, too, as you can see from the shot behind me as well, the trophies that just talks about one of the most decorated programs in state and possibly across the nation as well for the Mount Carmel Caravan. But it's not just about the 24 state championships across 6 different sports. It's also about the young men that Mount Carmel has developed so many years after years, should I say. And Jacko, why don't you tell us a little bit about how everyone can contribute this evening?
Sure, of course. So, obviously things are very different this year. So we had to pivot this virtual event, the Night of Champions. And this isn't the only event that's been impacted. So there are numerous others. But this is a big one. It's a big deal. So we're asking that if you have the means that you could donate, there's multiple ways to give. You could text MC to 243-725. You can donate online at www.mchs.org. You can mail a check. I hope you haven't forgotten the address, but just in case, it's up there on the screen, 6410 South Dante, Chicago, Illinois, 60637. Also, we're on Venmo. And actually, if you open your camera on your phone, bring it up to the screen, scan that little funny barcode thing called the QR code. That'll actually take you directly to our Venmo page where you can connect, send us a quick little donation, and boom, you're done. So there's plenty of ways to give. And as Pablo mentioned earlier, Wintrust is our presenting sponsor this evening, but we also receive support from some unlikely sources. So throughout the night, I will be bringing you some of the sponsors that you normally wouldn't hear from at things like the Caravan Gala or any of the football games. So let's take a look at our first sponsor.
This segment is brought to you by Coach Anto's Hat. From spaghetti western to a night on western, these bad boys can go anywhere. Dress them up, dress them down, they're ready for all occasions. Find Coach Anto's hat wherever you'd least expect to buy one. Side effects may include old-timey words of wisdom, the sudden urge to lead a chant, and an allergy to full-length pants.
Well, Jack, I don't know if everyone read the fine print, but the reason why we're here tonight is to talk about the top 25 Coach Anto hats. No, I'm just kidding on that. But talking about some of his favorite hats, Jacko, which one stands out to you?
Well, that fedora rounds out the top 2 for sure, but the other would have to be the bucket hat. You can't go wrong with the bucket hat because what that means is it's summer, Carmel football team is practicing, and that means fall is right around the corner. So I think the bucket hat means business, and the fedora means game time.
I'm a fantastic fan of the STP hat, and also to talk about, too, being in the alumni gym at center court. We love the chant that he has at every pep rally. I mean, I can feel that energy that he always brings down. So just some phenomenal stuff. But like I said, we have a countdown to get to. So let's jump straight into it for breaking into 25 to 21 for our countdown to start things out. At number 25, it's the football star from 1951. It's Ted Cashy. So we move on now to number 24. We go to the ice. Ryan File. What a file on him, should I say. Hockey forward from the class of 99, a 3-time conference champion with the Caravan, and also a 3-time leading conference scorer. Then we go to the backfield at number 23, the Jordan number, but we stick with football. 1987, Nate Turner, who had 3 seasons with Nebraska and 3 NFL seasons from the football star, played at the 93-94 Buffalo Bills, and went to back-to-back Super Bowls. We won't talk about the result for the Bills, though, but we move on to now 22. With a bounce pass over to the class of 85's Melvin McCants on the basketball court, and my goodness, what a stat sheet for him. 84-85 All-Catholic League, 85 All-State, and All-American, number 6 on the Caravan's all-time leading scorer, and the list goes on. And of course, an 85 state championship, the first ever private school to win a basketball state title. And rounding out our first round is number 21, Chris Calloway, a wide receiver who played football, basketball, and ran for track and field as well here with Caravan and graduated in 85. Also went on to play at the University of Michigan, 2 Rose Bowls, played under the legendary head coach Bo Schembechler. What a start to the evening so far, Jacko. 21 to 25, coming in hot, just to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think if I had to pick one guy that stood out to me myself, it's Melvin McCants. Not only does he have a name that just sounds like it's in the Hall of Fame, Melvin McCants, but you mentioned his number 6 all-time leading scorer. You forgot to mention his number 2 all-time career rebounds. And that means to me is that this is a guy who's going to have your back, right? He was a teammate for all teammates. He was there under the net, just waiting for you, and he had your back. Melvin McCants is my guy. Speaking
of one of his teammates as well, we forgot to mention that Chris Calloway was also on the 85 basketball team too. So that's a crazy thing to mention with 21-25, Jacko. I mean, once again, just some phenomenal stuff as we talk about this 25-21 stuff. So as we kind of jump in, looking more into what we've got ahead of this evening, we'll also be talking with live interviews, and we will have that grand raffle. But as we get into the next program, we want to talk about the renovations at Mount Carmel. We want to talk about everything that the Caravan has undergone with President Ned Hughes during his 5-year career here with Mount Carmel after coming back to be the president in 2016. And what phenomenal developments have we seen. And our own Luca DiFilippo, Caravan Media Group correspondent, sat down with Hughes to talk about everything here at the school.
Hi, I'm Luca DiFilippo, a senior here at Mount Carmel High School, and today we're here with the president of the school, Mr. Ned Hughes. Thank you for sitting with us today.
Thank you for sitting down with me, Luca.
We wanted to talk today about the great things happening at Mount Carmel. How has the Mount Carmel campus changed since you graduated in 1970?
Boy, this campus has gone through a massive transformation since 1970. Where we're sitting right here today in the Convocation Center, when I was in school here, this is where the St. Cyril building was, St. Cyril Parish. We had a church in here. The school library was in this building. The weight room was in the basement of this building. So just physically, this campus has been a massive transformation, including the classrooms that we've recently renovated over the last few years in the main school building, which was built in 1924.
How are things changing in the Woodlawn neighborhood?
Woodlawn's going through a lot of changes right now. First off, we have the Presidential Center, the Obama Presidential Center, which is breaking ground this year. So we expect that to bring a lot of energy to the Woodlawn community. Along with that, the city of Chicago has started a project which they're calling the Gateway to Woodlawn. And the Gateway to Woodlawn is going to be the 63rd and Stony Island is going to be the center point of it. It's going to go from 64th Street to 62nd Street, from Stony Island to Martin Luther King Drive, which the thought process is to build multi-purpose high-rises. And 63rd Street all the way from Stony to Martin Luther King Drive will be a big business center, minority-owned businesses, which will transform this entire community. What does that mean to Mount Carmel? We will see more and more people moving into this community. I'm personally excited about the future of Woodlawn. Makes me very excited about the future of Mount Carmel.
It's very exciting. It's great to hear. How do you see Mount Carmel evolving and changing in the future?
So I think as we look to the future of Mount Carmel, we want to be recognized as the best at everything we do. Today, when you say Mount Carmel, everybody thinks athletics. And on this Saturday night, we're going to talk a lot about athletics and a lot about our great athletes. But what's going to transform here at Mount Carmel is when you say Mount Carmel, you're going to think greatness at every level. You're going to think greatness at athletics. You're going to think greatness at academics. You're going to think greatness at arts. You're going to think greatness at our facility. Greatness will be and is synonymous with Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel grew its enrollment this past year. So I think we're headed in the right direction, and I see a lot of excitement, and I see growth in this school.
I 100% agree with you. And lastly, what is your favorite memory as your time as president at Mount Carmel?
Boy, I have so many good memories of Mount Carmel. I mean, it's just one coming back here was awesome. It was, I was in awe to come back. Two things stand out to me, I think I'll say, is one, the dedications that we had here in the past few years. And we dedicated the first floor a year and a half ago now. The first floor for, as you've seen, is totally different than anybody ever imagined. No lockers. The collage of history of Mount Carmel, students, teachers. We have the collage of all the Carmelite priests that have existed over all the years. It's exciting to see that. The dedication of the athletic field that we have and the excitement that athletic field brought to this school. We now have students that are packing the stadium that we haven't seen in probably a decade or two. To see grammar school kids running during halftime all over the football field, tossing the ball around, family excitement, family atmosphere. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. But this has just even cemented it even more. To see the excitement on Champions Way the night of a football game. Edgy Tim, who was a sports writer, said that when he came to watch the Loyola game here, this was the closest thing to a college environment he's ever seen at a high school football level. The other one that really stands out to me is last year's graduation. In this COVID environment where everybody was quarantined, and as you looked at senior graduations, there were none. You know, there was drive-by graduation. It really took away from what I always thought was a great senior experience. And we at Mount Carmel figured out how to make it happen. And we parked 124 cars on our football field and had a drive-in graduation. I was a little worried that morning because it was raining and I thought it would ruin the entire graduation. As it turned out, it continued to rain and only added to the excitement of the graduation. To see our entire faculty and staff with umbrellas and caps and gowns standing in the stands in pouring rain, congratulating each student's name as it was called off, was pretty exciting. To see the students get out of their car and toss their hats in the air was something I'll never forget. And then to cap it off at the end of that, as the cars were all leaving the stadium, and moms thanking us for bringing this class together to be able to graduate as a class, that's something I'll never forget.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hughes, and thank you for everything you do for this school.
Well, thank you, and thank you for what you do. This has been a tough year, especially for seniors in your senior year. And we are the only school that is in school 5 days a week, all day. And the credit goes to you guys. The credit goes to the students for wearing your mask, doing what was necessary. And that comes from the senior leadership. And senior leadership comes from the student council. So, Luca, thank you to you.
Thanks.
Thank you to all the seniors and all our students.
Thank you very much.
All right, once again, that was Luca DiFilippo. Thank you so much for that, Luca. And also, Ned will be stepping down as president at the end of the school year. So thank you so much to Ned for all that he's done over these last few years after watching all these renovations, being a great, great leader. And as we talk about, again, being here for tonight's events, we are counting down the top 25 athletes, but we are also raising funds for the school for the athletic and extracurricular programs. Jacko, once again, talking about some different ways that people can contribute to tonight. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there's plenty. And listen, coming out of that video, if listening to Ned Hughes doesn't make you proud to be a member of the Mount Carmel community, I don't know what does. You can just tell in his voice how proud he is of all the accomplishments, the students, the faculty, and the staff and everything. So what better way to show your Mount Carmel spirit, to show how proud you are of being a part of the community, than with some new gear, huh? Because are you truly a Mount Carmel fan if your closet's not filled with brown and white T-shirts? So for a short time, we actually have a Mount Carmel throwback store available from Ron and Mary Beth Cesniak at Windy City Silk Screening. So go to mchs.org and to the Night of Champions page, and then click the link to the Caravan throwback store. So, they actually sent me a few of them, so I got them right here if you want to see. This is actually the throwback Mount Carmel Phys Ed shirt. So you got to write your name in that little square right there. Wear it proud. That's a really cool one. Everyone will remember that from their days here. This one is what I kind of remember from when I was in grade school. Everyone was always wearing this Mount Carmel T-shirt, kind of that scrunched up logo. And then lastly, I think this one is actually my favorite. This is such a cool one. As we all know, it used to be called St. Cyril's. Here's St. Cyril's in that old font, and it's this cool stone gray T-shirt. So be sure to get your hands on these, and they make great gifts for all your big MC fans and everything like that. Look at Pablo's repping the sweatshirt there too.
That's it.
Yeah, it's great. So, and while you got your wallet out, to go buy some gear at the Spirit store, I might as well remind you how to donate, right? There's a few options. The first being to text MC to 243-725. You can also Venmo us at Mount Carmel. And actually on Venmo, there's a little profile picture, and it's the MC logo if you want to make sure you got the right one, or you just scan the QR code. Mail a check, 6410 South Dante, your old stomping grounds for 4 years at some point, and make sure the memo is to the Night of Champions. You could also just go to mchs.org. If you're on the website looking for gear, just go ahead and find that donate page. And don't forget, we do have a big raffle coming up at the end of the night, so be sure to stick around. And it is finally time to highlight another one of our special sponsors. So let's take a look at that.
Our next sponsor is Saturday Jug. Yeah, I'm not sure what you did to get here, but I hope you like doing chores around the old building. But hey, in return, you get to see a priest dressed in regular clothes. Kind of weird. Plus, you'll finally explore that mystery closet in the basement. Spoiler alert, it's vacuums. Saturday Jug. Does this technically count as service hours?
All right, thanks for that, Jacko. And don't forget to buy gear, to donate, don't get a Saturday Jug, and to also make sure that if you are so far on 25 to 21 and want to continue this dialogue here, make sure to follow us on Twitter using the hashtag MCGreats. We want to hear from you. Now, you know what? I'm talking to you right now at home that's watching on your couch, that's watching with your family, that's watching either a Cork and Carry or Tapestry. Yes, we heard about those watch parties, so hopefully, wherever you are, make sure you use Twitter, use the hashtag MCGreats, because guess what, folks? It is time once again to unveil some more athletes. Let's go from 20 to 16, folks. We lead off with our countdown. Continuing with this, it's Antoine Walker starting out the second round as we go in for the class of 1993. And Antoine Walker, what just a resume for him from the class of 94. Basketball power forward who is an All-American, all-time leading scorer and leading rebounder. We'll get to his stats in a minute. And then we move into 19 onto the gridiron. From the class of 61, it's Tony Carey. And Jacko, I know you've got a little bit of some family ties here, so we'll talk about him in just a second. The football star out there. Now to number 18, another basketball star, and also a baseball star too, Greg Carney from 1966, who went on to play at Wichita State for basketball, a Wichita State Shocker. Number 17, we go back to the football field again from 68 now. The football field with Dave Zuccarelli, who led the Caravan in 65 and 66 in teams rushing yards. And finally, rounding things out is from the basketball court, number 16, Lloyd Walton from the class of 1971. Could be one of the top Caravan hoop stars on this list. He went to Marquette for 3 years, played in the Natty title in 1974 for the now Golden Eagles, should I say. Lost to North Carolina State, unfortunately, but then was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks in 1976, had 5 seasons in the NBA. And what a fantastic list right there, especially basketball heavy, Jacko, from 16 to 20.
Heavy on basketball, but I'm going to go ahead and take my favorite as Tony Carey. You got to stick with family. You can't blame me on here. Tony Carey is actually my great uncle. So my grandfather, Bob, his brothers, Tony and Tom, all went to Mount Carmel along with my brothers, Brendan and Kevin. Well, shout out to them. I know they're watching. But when we're talking about Tony, I don't know if you guys got the latest edition of the Fall Carmel Life magazine, but Tony and Tom were actually featured in the cover issue and in the feature story about brothers coaching brothers, because Tony was coached by his brother, Tom, at Mount Carmel, just as Jordan Lynch is coaching his brother, Justin. So really cool. If you haven't gotten this, you can, this is in the alumni part of the alumni association and everything. And if you need to, you can always reach out to Tony DiFilippo to get yourself a hand on one of those Carmel Life magazines. But yep, I'm going to go out of those. Tony Carey being my favorite.
I got to say too, was we mentioned that hardwood heavy too in this round of 5, and one of the guys too talking about Antoine Walker, as we look at the stats here again, 1994 All-American, all-time leading scorer, leading rebounder, Catholic League for 93-94, All-State those same years, was an All-American again, 94, and then when we talk about when he went to Kentucky, he was a 96 national champion, went on to the NBA, 6th overall, 3-time NBA All-Star, and a 2006 NBA champ with Miami Heat. I remember watching that team. They had Dwayne Wade, they had Shaq, they had Antoine Walker, and you always got to remember Antoine by his little shimmy right there. That was his move. I can't do it very well, I'm not going to lie, but that's why he did his thing. But that's just the thing about Antoine Walker and the basketball heavy lineup that we just had right here. And speaking of Dr. Lloyd Walton at 16, we had our own head basketball coach, Phil Seagross, who sat down with the legend, who talked about his career post-Caravan and what he's up to now.
I would be a different person had I not come to Mount Carmel. This was a decision that I did not make. I was a 14-year-old kid living in Chicago Heights, south suburbs, with my aunt and uncle. And I loved to play the game. I just played everywhere I could, and I never thought of it doing anything, just playing basketball. Right. One day, I just happened to be at a party, actually. Gotta tell this story. Okay. At a party, and a guy comes and says, "Hey, there's somebody outside waiting for you." So I walk outside. I see a guy, and it's dark, and it's kind of shadowy, and I'm like, okay, I remember this guy from somewhere. So you remember me? I said, yeah, I've seen you around. And he says, I'm the coach at Mount Carmel. I'm the assistant coach at Mount Carmel. I'm like, okay. Some people say it changed my life. Sure. I think it saved my life. thing about it is when you're young, you don't really know the benefits of what people do for you that they don't have to do. And that began to lay a real foundation for me in terms of being exposed to basketball, meeting people, but more importantly, understanding the importance of education.
Can you tell me like some guys maybe that you remember, you know, battling on Friday nights, going head to head with?
Leo High School, Tony Parker.
Oh man.
Tony Parker Jr. is the people will remember him now more than his dad, but his dad probably, and I'll say this, was a better player than Tony Parker Jr. He was the kind of athletic guy, could handle it and could score. I mean, score easily.
In our two small gyms,
oh man,
I made it a son of a gun to guard him, right?
Yeah, it was really, really tough. And I tell people, I just did the commencement exercise for them about a year ago, and I told them it's unfortunate, but I'm very familiar with Leo because that's why I got my career high. I had 42. And I just learned so much about what I needed to do and where was I going to go from there. I had gotten the foundation from my family coming to Carmel, and then, you know, it was like building blocks.
Right.
Just the next block. What's the next block?
You know what, guys? I think it's been great catching up with Lloyd Walton. You know, like I said, if not the best player to ever play at our school, definitely one of the top three. We love you, and we need you around here more. And thanks for spending time with us, Lloyd.
Coach, thank you so much.
You're the best.
To even be thought about. It's a very esoteric group that you guys are putting together.
Yeah.
I'm just honored to be a part.
All right, thanks again to Phil Seagroves for that. Great to hear from Dr. Walton and just everything that he's doing, and also hear about the stories of Tony Parker Sr., who was just a heck of a ball player at Leo. And just again, thank you to Phil Seagroves, and congrats to Dr. Walton again for making number 16. Jacko, as we kind of want to talk about this evening again, though, in different ways, we also want to talk about events that are happening down the road for the Caravan. What's going on throughout campus that you could talk about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've been looking at all these athletes throughout the night, but before they were the MC greats, right? They were just wide-eyed schoolboys. They were hoping to get into Mount Carmel, right? So we're excited for what the future holds for all of our young students. And so if you know of any future men of Carmel that are currently in 5th, 6th, 7th grade, we will be offering a spring personal tour night and open house on April 27th, which I will say is my birthday. So I guess if you're not celebrating my birthday, you should go to the Mount Carmel open house. So go to mchs.org under the admissions section to sign up. So that's great. Also, we want to hear your thoughts on Twitter, at Jacko Carey, at Pablo Iglesias TV, and hashtag MCGreat. So I'm being told we have another sponsor to thank. Let's take a look.
This segment is brought to you by Mr. Daly's Punishments. Anyone who ever had him as a teacher has heard those dreaded words. 200 times I will not do the following. Legend has it MC alums to this day are still trying to finish writing I will not swear in Mr. Daly's class 200 times. What's this? Oh, I just received a note. 200 times, Mr. Carey, I will not make fun of Mr. Daly during the virtual night of champions. He always finds a way, huh? Well, I better get to it. Back to you, Pablo.
Jacko, I think he's setting you a timestamp for Monday when the bell rings for sure, but I did also have my fair share of those too. 200 times I will not talk after the bell rings in Mr. Daly's class. And something too about room 202, his stoic delivery, how it was slow, but it was just like kind of a little feared, I'm not gonna lie. And but I was saying from that one, 200 times I will not talk after the bell rings. I think that was the point where I discovered that maybe I could do some talking for a living at that point. All right, well, as we kind of continue, once again, this is the virtual Night of Champions presented by Wintrust here on the campus of Mount Carmel High School. And we talk about ways that you can continue to give here. So many different ways. And once again, you can text MC to 243725. You can also Venmo us at Mount-Carmel, or you can mail a check to Mount Carmel, attention Night of Champions, and you know the address and right there. Or simply go to mchs.org. And that is just some ways that you can help contribute to this evening. And also, once again, please contribute to the conversation, hashtag MCGreats. One of the other things, too, Jacko, I'm just seeing a tweet from a good friend of mine, Roy DeNovo, and Jordan Lillibridge, who were two managers. They want to know about the all-time managers team from football history. So, again, some great shout-outs right there. But keep tweeting right now.
Yeah, I got one of the ones I saw on the list was someone's nominating Austin Hernandez. And while I know Austin was a pretty good soccer player, I believe his talents are a little bit better on the controller during FIFA. That's what I know about Austin. So I think that's where he's excelled post high school. So we'll see. He might not have cracked the top 25, but on the FIFA world, he's number one.
Hey, number one in the FIFA world, but let's talk about who has made it onto the list so far that we have revealed. Let's take a look. 25 to 16, the reveal. We've got Ted Cashy, Ryan File, Nate Turner, Melvin McCants, Chris Calloway, Antoine Walker, Tony Carey, Greg Carney, Dave Zuccarelli, and finally, so far, what we've had is 16, Lloyd Walton. My goodness, once again, what a fantastic, fantastic list that we've got. We're far from done right now, Jacko, and you know what time it is?
Is it time for more athletes?
It is time for more athletes. Let's jump into the next round, and here we go. 15 to 11, and we lead off behind the plate, the football and baseball star, Mr. Eric Pappas, coming from the class of 1984. Now, he was a Mount Carmel quarterback, but also an all-state baseball player. Now, he was the 6th overall pick of the 1984 draft. Congratulations to him, and also a 2004 player on the Greece national team in the Olympics. We go to number 14 now, and it is a man who, when you'd hand the ball off to him, he just ran with bad intentions. Mr. Bobby Sanders from 91. Man, this guy was an absolute trucker. Football, basketball, and track and field, but he is known specifically for how hard he ran in the backfield. The back-to-back state champ in 89 and 90. One of the memorable moments, too, was when he had a big drive on November 11th in 1990 to help lead the Caravan to that back-to-back title against Simeon in a 29-26 game. Just some fantastic stuff. Two-time state champ, like we said, and top 10 in all-time rushing yards and career touchdowns. Man, fantastic. Moving on to 13, we stick with the football field. Mike McGrew, who is known as the all-time leading passer for Mount Carmel, led the 90 and 91 teams to a state championship, top 10 career in touchdowns. He's also widely regarded as the best option quarterback in Mount Carmel history. How about that? Well, he decided to take his talents and stay in the city, or the Chicagoland area, should I say, and went to Northwestern to play in the 96 Rose Bowl team. Let's move on to number 12 now, Gary Casper. 88 class now, football and hockey, 2-sport star with the Caravan, 2nd all-time leading tackler in school history, and while he played football, he also played hockey and helped lead the Caravan to a state title. And speaking of hockey, we've got number 11, Mr. Craig Ferguson from the class of 1979. Now, Craig has quite the resume right here, too. 3-time Kennedy Cup champion, a state champ in 79, the all-time scoring leader, 2 in all-time goals and 1 in all-time assists, and the single season scoring record. All Catholic League 3 times, Catholic League MVP twice. And he's also got a fun fact that he's going to talk to us just in a little bit. Craig, first and foremost, thanks so much for joining us out here. Craig, when you see these last 5 athletes, who stands out to you the most?
Well, probably Gary Casper. I mean, just what he has done, playing 2 sports. He was a hell of a football player. He was a terrific hockey player, really successful. Eric Pappas, obviously also. I think he's probably the highest draft choice, I think, in Mount Carmel history in baseball. So, including Ed. But, the great athletes, all of them, I know there's only 25, but there's probably hundreds and hundreds that should be here without a doubt. So
fantastic. Well, Craig, you made the short list. Number 11. Give me a little bit. What's going through the brain right now? You're at number 11.
Pretty humbled. I was fortunate enough to come to Mount Carmel, to play hockey, but I had great teammates. Really, hockey is an ultimate team game, and had great teammates in Bill Frayne and Bill Myjack, Dave Supple, Mike Straczynski, Richie Fink, Tom Lannon, Kevin McCabe, Pat McCarthy, guys like that were just, I was very, very fortunate to play in an era, in the mid to late 70s. It was a great experience here for sure.
It seems like during the 70s, you guys were a feared and revered hockey team on the ice. What was it that made you guys so tough?
I just think we really learned how to play together. I think sometimes we heard, there's so many great players that came before us. The Johnsons, the Johnson family, and the McPartlands. Those are, people that are really instrumental that I came to Mount Carmel. And, I think it was one of those things where we really didn't want to let them down. They kind of paved the way for us, won Kennedy Cups in the, in 73 and 74 season. We had a terrific coach. And John Duran and our assistant coaches, Jerry McPartland, Mike Zapaniak, we were taught well. So,
Craig, you're talking about passing the torch too, or should I say passing the hockey stick in this case. Now, nearly 30 years as a coach too. You coached at Mount Carmel. You went to, I got to say, the enemy St. Rita. Just kidding a little bit there.
Yeah.
We won't hold you to that. No, just kidding, of course. But then you came back to the Caravan to coach and come in a little bit of an advisory role. What is it like being part of these young men's lives and watching them develop?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I'm excited, really excited about the future of Mount Carmel hockey. We've got a terrific young man, Tom Mahan, who's a 95 grad, who's the head of the program. Tom was the captain of my first hockey team that I coached here at Mount Carmel. So it's really neat to kind of see that happening. He's doing a great job. Recruitment-wise, I think we tested 19 hockey players, 19 young men this past entrance exam that play hockey. So he certainly makes my job as the admissions director much easier too. So we're excited about it.
Well, Craig, before we let you go, I want to go back to your player stats real quick because you were also the Caravan's top 20 when it comes to penalty minutes. Can you tell me could you recall for your playing career, which one was the most?
We had a really good team. So, sometimes at the end of the games when you're up by a few, that was a little payback time for some guys that maybe took liberties with me. That's the story that I'm going to stick to. So.
Well, you heard it right here, folks. Craig Ferguson, the scrapper. We are right here joined with him. So congratulations again,
Thank
Craig.
you.
Number 11 on the all-time Caravan list. And, I mean, just fantastic stuff. And we talk about the hockey season going into spring. Jack, what else is happening in the spring?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret why people like Craig are so successful. They work hard. They work in the off season. And I'm here to tell you that Mount Carmel is offering some spring clinics for sports to future Caravan athletes. So you go to mchs.org under the admissions page to check out the dates and availability for those spring sports clinics. And you can train with the Caravan, train with the champions, right? And let's take advantage of this opportunity to grab your phone, grab your computer, grab your checkbook, whatever it is, and make a little donation to Mount Carmel. Many ways to give, as we've mentioned before. You can text MC to 243-725. You can Venmo at Mount-Carmel. You can mail a check to Mount Carmel, attention Night of Champions, the old 6410 South Dante address. Or just go to mchs.org. While you're checking out everything else, take a look at the admissions page, take a look at the sports page, and go ahead and click that donate button. So we're getting close to the big Split the Pot raffle. Stay tuned for that drawing from President Ned Hughes. There's a lot of money on the line, and it could be going to you. There's only one way to find out, which is stick around. So we have 10 athletes to go, but before we get to the top 10, we need to acknowledge one of our very important sponsors.
And this segment is brought to you by Old-Timey Nicknames. The next time you run into an alum, ask them who their closest friends were at Carmel. Chances are you won't be getting names like Mike, Peter, or Tom. No, you'll get names like Curly, Nutso, Popeye, and Ears. And to prove that this is true, those are the actual names that Ned Hughes gave me for his friends when I asked him for names. So now back to you, Newsy.
Jacko, thank you so much for that. Some great nicknames. I'm just trying to think of some as we go through right now, but some great stuff and a great evening as Jacko, before we know it, we are entering red zone territory now, and we are jumping into the top 10. We are moving pretty fast, and we've got two more to talk about right now as we jump in. Continuing the countdown here, we go to number 10, into the pool, taking a dive. It's Tom Ulrich, and my goodness, what decorations does he have as a swimmer from the class of 1966. Tom was one of the finest swimmers in Mount Carmel history. He eventually owned every speed record in Mount Carmel history. Jacko, I know you're trying to chase after those too when you were a swimmer here. I just want to say 100-yard breaststroke with just over a minute. We kind of know too, or the butterfly. How fast? You think he did the butterfly under a minute from what we're looking at over here. Just incredible, incredible stuff for the Catholic League Championship. And as we move on now to number 9 from the class of 85, running, Mr. Harold Leonard, again from the class of 85. Just a great stuff here. Track and field athlete, state champion in the 200 and 400, the first state qualifier in Mount Carmel track history, and he still holds some Chicago Catholic League outdoor meet records in the 400. It's just a great feat, and it's also great to welcome in Mr. Leonard, who joins us today. How are we doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us, too. Harold, just tell me a little bit about your Mount Carmel track career.
It was a great experience. Choosing Mount Carmel was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Being at the school, the friendships I made, the teachers, everyone was just a wonderful experience. I got a chance, I hadn't been back in a long time, and I got a chance to come back and take a tour, and I was blown away with it, with all the new renovations and everything. I'm just really impressed. Track-wise, I loved it. We had a small team because track really wasn't a thing at Mount Carmel at the time, but we had a group of dedicated, great athletes. Nate Turner was one of my track teammates. Steve Little, Keith Wynn. We had a great group of guys that went to state my junior year and senior year. It was really fun. It was exciting.
Tell me a little bit about that state experience, not only to just go, but to also come back with some hardware as well.
Yeah, it was fun. The whole year, it was the 400 came down to me and a guy named Harlan South. And he beat me twice during the season at the sectionals and at a big invitational meet. But I vowed at state that I was going to change up my whole strategy, and I was going to come out victorious, and it worked out really well. We worked on my last 200 meters, and I was able to just power through and break the state record and run a 46.51. And then the funny thing about it back then was there was only 1A and 2A. So I literally only had 15 minutes between the 400 meters and the 200 meters. So I had to run across the field after being interviewed by the press and get into 200 and then run that race also.
Well, Harold, part of the reason why we're here tonight, too, talking about some of the greatest athletes of all time, and you've made it onto the top 10 list, number 9. First of all, congratulations, and tell me, what does it feel like to be number 9?
Oh my God, it's I was sitting in the back and I was wondering, where's my name going to be called? But it was truly an honor. It's truly an honor just to be named with so many wonderful, great athletes. And like I said before, there's hundreds of more that weren't even mentioned, but it was just an honor to be a part of it.
And out of curiosity, whose name haven't you heard that you think should be said soon?
Probably the person standing to my left, which is Coach Lynch, who's coming up pretty soon, I know, and Donovan McNabb.
Excellent.
Well, yeah, he was on there earlier, yes, I'm sorry.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Harold. We really appreciate you coming by. We appreciate you bringing some of the hardware, too. Actually, I don't know if you have that with you over on the podium, or that's all right.
They got my national, I was a national All-American in the 400 meters because I was the 5th ranked in the nation. So they've got it on display here at the school now.
Well, it's great to see that, and I felt like I just felt like holding it too. I needed to give it right back to you because I didn't want to drop it. I didn't want to do anything with it.
But thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and congratulations again. We really appreciate having you here, Harold, and we want to continue the count as we go straight into it. We've got 2 more coming up here in our next countdown. We go at number 8. The great 8 right over here. We go onto the football field. We've got a gruesome twosome into this countdown. It's Tony Verjanik right over here in the football category, or should I say the number 8 in football. Now, let's talk about this real quick, Jacko. 3-year starter on offense, 2-year starter on defense, so both sides. Top 5 in all-time career tackles, number 2 in forced fumbles, so kind of like a Charles Tillman essentially out here, a 1980 state champion, 81 captain, the 81 Lawless Award winner, an 81 All-State, an All-American, and he also started as a freshman at the University of Notre Dame for the Fighting Irish and also played for the Buffalo Bills. Man, what a just a list of accomplishments there for him. And move on to lucky number 7. From the class of 2009, we've got Jordan Lynch The football star, number 4 all-time leading passer for the Caravan, number 2 in touchdown passes, top 25 in scoring, and he went on to have a storied career at Northern Illinois. He finished in the top 5 as a Heisman finalist, and that was a fun year to watch for sure. Watching some action, watching Jordan just tear that conference apart and end up going into the Heisman and being in New York. And he's now back as the coach for the winning state title team that will be defending their title this spring, and he joins us right here in studio. Coach Lynch, thanks for joining us, and congratulations at number 7.
Thank you. Thanks, Pablo. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, it's great. So, coming back as we kind of talk about some different things. So tell me a little bit about your quarterback career at Mount Carmel. What was that like for you?
It was fun. I came into Mount Carmel. I came from St. Christina. I was playing running back. That's why I played kind of my whole career. And that's what I was coming. I came to Mount Carmel, played some running back. But, in the triple option, being a quarterback in this system was pretty much like being a running back. So they put one of the best athletes at quarterback, and it just so happened to be me. And I guess the rest is history there. The
rest is truly history. And then you went on to Northern Illinois, and I got to tell you, that final season, too, it was just crazy watching you tearing it up. Just record after record for the school, for the conference, and then ending up being in that top 5 Heisman finalist vote. Jordan, just tell me a little bit about that season. Run me through a little bit. Do you still pinch yourself thinking about that?
Yeah, it's still kind of surreal, to be honest with you. I got recruited by Jerry Kill to go to Northern Illinois. It was my only scholarship offer, and they didn't know what to do with me. I was playing safety my first week. I was playing running back. I was playing everything. A few guys got hurt. A few people transferred. I ended up playing quarterback, and started getting some playing time my junior year, and, rattled off 13 straight victories and went to the Orange Bowl, and, went to the next year, went to the Heisman ceremony. So had a lot of great athletes around me, a lot of great teammates, but, definitely wouldn't be possible without those guys. But Mount Carmel's definitely helped me to get there, with some of the leadership skills and the coaches and everything like that. So I'm fortunate, to be back here. I'm pretty blessed with everything that's happened.
I'm curious, too, to keep going with the 2013 finalist just ceremony. Being in New York City, you're there with guys like A.J. McCarron and Jameis Winston, who ended up winning the trophy that year, Johnny Manziel as well. I mean, you're right up there with those guys. What was going through your mind when you were out there that evening?
It was awesome. It's, I always grew up watching the Heisman ceremony, and just being in that Best Buy theater, everyone thinks, it's a big theater, this or that. It only sits about 200 people, so, you have Curb Street there, and everyone, and Lee Corso. It was a great event. It was great. Obviously we didn't win. We finished 3rd there, but it was great just to put Northern Illinois on the map. It was great, being from a smaller school, just to be at the ceremony. So.
Well, right after you finished up your time at Northern Illinois, you were under Rod Carey, too, helping out with coaching. And then you came back to be the head coach here at Mount Carmel High School. And now you've got a state ring already to contribute in that way. And on top of that, you also got to watch your younger brother, Justin, do that. I mean, just so many different things as the head coach. Tell me, how's that experience been so far for you?
Yeah, I spent 1 year in college coaching. Never I thought I would come back to Mount Carmel High School and coach high school football, but it was the only, in every level I've played or coached, it's the only level high school I never won a state championship in. So I definitely, I wanted to get back to the high school, and I wanted to win a ring in high school, and it took me my 2nd year to get it. And coaching my brother has been awesome. It's a lot of pressure on myself, but mostly a lot of pressure on him too, if you think about it. But he's like a coach's, he's a coach's dream. He does everything the right way. It's a great senior class, the coach, that's for sure. They're undefeated in the building, and we're fortunate we get 6 games this spring to let those guys, continue their career and go unbeaten.
And we talk about spring football feeling a little different, but you guys are coming in as the defending champions. Tell me, how's the team looking this season?
It looks great. We've returned 17 out of the 22 starters. We're doing a little Caravan Tough, we call it, morning workouts right now. Our first game's March 19th against Montini. So, we'll get out there March 3rd, start practicing. But we're excited. We're excited to put on the pads and, finally, hit someone else.
All right, Jordan. Well, again, talking about this evening, too, and you mentioned just coming back to Mount Carmel's already been a surreal thing. What are your thoughts right now, just seeing the top 25 list so far, this whole setup so far, thanks to the folks at Intersport? Just give me what's going through the mind right now.
This is awesome. It's, it reminds me of, a college game day atmosphere almost, with all the cameras and everything like that. And this top 25 was such a great idea. Whoever, came up with this idea, Just to kind of put this in perspective a little bit, me at Northern Illinois, I was rated the #1 greatest athlete at NIU at my university. Now I'm number 7 in high school. It just goes to show you all the great athletes that came through this building. I'm interested to see who's #1.
So you feel like sitting at number 7 is pretty good for you then, right? Or do you want to be higher?
Being at Mount Carmel, being in the top 25 is a tremendous accomplishment. So, especially with all the great athletes and talent that walk through this building, it's definitely a victory.
Perfect. Thanks, Jordan. We really appreciate your time, and good luck this season, too.
Thanks, Pablo.
All right. As we continue, let's take a look back at who we've revealed so far in the top list here at the Virtual Night of Champions presented by Wintrust. Let's take a look at who we, once again, have revealed so far in this top 25 countdown. As we take a look at this list, 25, we've got Cashy, Ryan File, Nate Turner, Melvin McCants, Chris Calloway, Antoine Walker also out there, Tony Carey and Greg Carney, Dave Zuccarelli and Lloyd Walton for the first 15. And then we move on to the next one. We've got Eric Pappas, Bobby Sanders, Mike McGrew, Gary Casper, Craig Ferguson, Tom Ulrich, Harold Leonard, Tony Furjanic, and who you just heard from, Mr. Jordan Lynch. My goodness, Jacko, what a great list we've got so far.
Great list, indeed. I wouldn't change a thing. I think everyone is exactly where they deserve to be. And you know what's funny is Jordan actually has another big distinction among the rest of the crowd is that he'll be in this year's yearbook, as a coach, which reminds me, the school, Mount Carmel, recently found a bunch of yearbooks dating from 1940 all the way through the 2010s, and they'd make an amazing gift for the MC superfan in your life. So, or just a fun trip down memory lane, or maybe you replaced it or you misplaced it and you want another one. So check them out today. You can see if yours is available at mchs.org in the Spirit Store section. And while you're looking in the website, we got to remind you to donate. You could donate by texting MC to 243-725, Venmoing us at Mount-Carmel or scanning that little QR code on your phone, or mailing a check to the Mount Carmel High School. Attention, Night of Champions at 6410 South Dante. So, and before we get to the other ones, there is another sponsor we would like to thank. Let's take a look.
Our next sponsor is, what's this? The swimming pool. Uh-oh. The swimming pool. 5 laps for 100 yards? You know it. A diving board with only 10-foot ceilings? Sure, why not? Stairs to get out? No, don't think so. So what are you waiting for? Jump in. The water's freezing cold.
Jacko, I think what I'm sure you absolutely love too as a former swimmer over here are the 6 a.m. practices during the winter, especially as I know you're in LA with the horrid 62-degree weather, as he was talking to us earlier today about, and I think it's below 0 with a wind chill potentially. But tell me a little bit about this time of year and just training at 6 a.m.
Oh, man. Well, my brother was a stickler for the 6 a.m. practice. I'm more of the later afternoon practice guy, but yeah, I got a picture from all the production guys that, they were loading today, and it just looked frigid and reminded me of those days running from the car to the building just to get into the heat, and then after practice, soaking wet and just booking it back out to the car to crank the heat up and everything. So I don't miss those days. I prefer to be in LA where I'm 2 hours behind and 60 degrees warmer. I'll stick here for the time being.
Rub it in, why don't you, man? No, we're just kidding, of course. And as you said earlier today, too, building a lot of different character through that for sure. A lot of life lessons. Well, Jacko, again, so many great names that we've read so far, and we've gotten a lot of different nominations for tonight. And while we would love to read everybody, unfortunately we can't, but we do want to give them a special shout out today. And just, once again, a fantastic list as we kind of go through here. Denny McClain, too, who was a former Major League Baseball player from 1962. The list just goes on and on, Jacko. Who else stands out to you?
Oh, another Carey. Got to shout out the family. Tom Carey, Tony's brother. Look at all these names. Jim Sherlock. You talk about a family that's been through Mount Carmel. The Sherlocks are powerhouse. Antonetti. I gave the guy some grief for his hat earlier, but I have the utmost respect for Mark's athletic career, as well as all his, everything he's done for Mount Carmel to give back. And I think there's still remnants of smashed pumpkins on the floor right where you're standing. So those are guys that stand out. The list keeps going.
I'll see if I can look for that, too. Actually, one of the names that has just popped up, too, that I'd love to point out is Jason Gasser, who I also want to say was from the class of 2013. I will just straight up say he felt like the Taysom Hill of the class. Marco Borsic, too, great pitcher from 2014. Dan O'Keefe, my play-by-play commentator, should I say, when we did football broadcasts. Eric Correa, great diver. And by the way, talking about the 2012 team that won state senior year, there it is. There's that sweatshirt. Got to show that off real quick. So shout out to the Caravan that won the 8A state title that year. So want to give a shout out once again to all of those great athletes who received nominations for. And again, that is why we are here this evening, is to celebrate so many different legacies, to celebrate so many different stories. But we also want to take a minute to remember all the loss, or all the lives that we lost too soon. Now, Mount Carmel has always been a brotherhood. It's always been a strong community to bring people together, and especially during times of tragedy, to always make sure that they never forget a brother who has fallen. And they bring an on-field mantra off the field, and it transcends super well to being shoulder to shoulder in battle, whatever the odds may be. Mount Carmel's new home field, Barter-Dowling Stadium, is just over a year old. However, its dedicated name remembers two lives whose stories go back decades.
And when I met with our primary donor, Mr. Berry, he was pretty adamant about wanting to highlight these two young men. Jim Barta, at that time the team went up north to Niagara Falls where they practiced. And I mean, he tragically died up there. And then here, Dowling, Kevin actually died later, at the hospital on this field. So it was important for him and then for us to embrace those two people.
The school awards annual scholarships in their names, recognizing student leaders. Steps away at Haggerty Field, the numbers 2 and 24 sit high for two former baseball players. In summer 2009, just before his senior year, Stephen Bajenski passed while under a medically induced coma following open heart surgery. Despite having an abnormal aortic valve since birth, Stevie was always known as a fighter.
I don't know of any times that I know that he was outworked at anything that he actually did. He learned at a small age that if he was going to achieve what he wanted to achieve, whether it be on the baseball field in school, he was going to have to work hard to do it. If I told him anything on a baseball field, he would do it. If I said, you got to dive through the window, he would go through the window, and if that would make him better.
Since then, the Bajenski family honors Stevie by providing scholarships and hosting what's become a multi-day high school baseball tournament. Today, Do It Stevie's Way not only serves as the foundation's name, it's also a way of life.
Family first orientation, caring about others, dreaming big, chasing those dreams with a passion.
Doing it Stevie's way is all about effort and attitude. Being a great student, being a great person, and then being a great baseball player.
What he was a kid who took the best out of probably the last 3-4 generations and kind of encompassed them into his personality.
Along with his passion for baseball, he also cherished everyone and everything in his life. Kevin Kennelly did the same. In 2011, Kevin unexpectedly passed away during the summer heading into his senior year. Recognizing Mount Carmel's impact, the Kennellys wanted to give back to the place that meant so much to their son.
This was just the place that came to mind right away because Kevin was so entrenched here and it was so much a part of him.
The school named the STEM labs after Kevin following the family's generous contribution. The baseball team also honors him with the All About Team Player Award, a heartwarming tribute for the Kennelly family.
You feel so connected to this place. I see some kid with 24 on his back and it brings it all back.
In October 2015, the Caravan unexpectedly lost junior Kevin Zubak. Just a year later, his father Darren also unexpectedly passed. Kevin, who was 16, was remembered for his work-hard, team-first mindset on the football and rugby fields. Darren, who was 44, was actively involved with the school, serving as the president of the Mount Carmel Fathers Club. On graduation day in May of 2017, Mount Carmel presented the Zubak family with Kevin's diploma.
When you're a member of the Caravan, you're a member of the Caravan forever.
Just months ago, sophomore Isaiah Wade fell victim to gun violence right behind his home in the Roseland neighborhood. English teacher Manny Medina recalls his last conversation with Zay.
My class was his last class, and I remember saying to him before he left, "All right, Zaytoven, be good, stay safe, I'll see you later."
Always astounded by his classroom leadership, Medina knew Zay could connect with everyone.
He had that natural sort of innate And every time he had that opportunity, he took it. And having him there, okay guys, let's focus. That's something that I don't think I could ever sort of replace. And I don't think I want to.
Medina recited a letter he wrote to the late Zay during memorial service, an emotional moment for him and a school in mourning.
One of my mentor teachers once told me, find a leader in your class and get him on your side. You were my leader, and you were on my side, and I'm grateful. Trying to speak in front of every class had me in absolute tears every single time. But speaking to your brothers that I have the privilege to watch over and protect was difficult. And I tell them what I told you every day. Be good, be safe, stay out of trouble, and I love you.
Isaiah's seat remains open with candles and a memorial. His legacy lives on in room 308, along with the stories of many fallen brothers in the halls of 6410. And thank you again, everybody who shared those stories with us. We definitely remember all of those names and everybody, too, who we lost too soon in our hearts deeply, especially, too, as of late with Isaiah Wade, too. Jacko, one of the names that we mentioned, too, in this piece was Kevin Kennelly Jr., who was in our studio, but also one of your classmates, too, from the class of 2012. Jacko, one of the things, too, when you were the student body president, you had a tagline at the end of day announcements, and that was keep on keeping on, which was Kevin's famous phrase. What was it about that phrase that made you want to tribute Kevin that way?
Look, that was like the perfect encapsulation of who Kevin was. He's a fun-loving kid. He's from the same neighborhood. He was a Beverly guy. We talked every day at Studium, and we would talk about our future, and we talk about what we want to do. And he wanted to flip open a lawn chair and have a nice beverage when he was in college. It's always the one thing he kept talking about. And Kevin was the kind of guy that would keep on keeping on, right? He had this cool attitude about him. He was always mellow. He's always nice. No one had a bad thing to say about him. So when it came time, for me to do the announcements, and they were like, oh, you need something to sign off with at the end of the day. This was my senior year. We had just lost Kevin, unfortunately. And I thought, what better way to honor Kevin than every single day for the rest of my time at Mount Carmel, ending the school day, with his phrase, so that everyone in the school could put it in their head, keep on keeping on. Remember, living like Kevin, you just gotta have those personality traits that Kevin carried with you. Take them with you, be a man of Carmel. And anytime you hear Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner, you gotta crank it up for Kevin.
One of the other things, too, the All About Team Award isn't necessarily about just about baseball skill, but it's also just about making the team better in any way that you could possibly do. I talked with Coach Brian Hurry about that. I talked to Kevin Kennelly Sr., doing it Stevie's way, also a fantastic foundation. We also just, again, with all the names that we mentioned and all the names beyond, too, who we lost too soon, definitely want to talk about that. But as we get back into the count, Jacko, let's take Kevin's phrase of keep on keeping on, and we want to move on into the countdown now as we talk about a baseball star now at number 6. And guess what? It's Alec Thomas from the class of 2018, the baseball, football, and he played some basketball a little bit here, too, for the Caravan. A triathlete. He was the 2018 Gatorade Player of the Year in Illinois, and then he was the second-round MLB draft pick in 2018, taken by the Arizona Diamondbacks. Jacko, I'll tell you, I saw this kid play in the minor leagues when I was down over in Peoria for a little bit, and the kid is an absolute stud. I think just days before he was called up at high single A, he hit for the cycle, and he was 19 years old. I mean, how many 19-year-olds do you think can do something like that?
That's crazy. And I mean, I remember just watching him. It was past my time, but I would follow all Mount Carmel sports on Twitter, and his name was just, every time I was scrolling, it was Alec Thomas. I was like, man, I got to check this kid out. And he lives up to the hype for sure. I am very excited to watch his professional career, and I know he will be a very proud MC alum in the future.
And a great career so far, and a lot ahead of him. And another one, unfortunately, did not make the list, but we've got to talk about his other teammate as well, who just deserves as much a shout out as well as Ed Howard. Now, Alec was smooth, but Ed was a little smooth because of his nickname Silk. Man, he was a good shortstop over there, and he was also drafted by the Cubs just earlier. I know we're more of a Southside White Sox fan. I don't know, Jacko, you might be a Cubby fan, though, aren't you?
I am a Cubs fan. Looking forward to seeing him in the red and blue.
Well, that's fantastic, though. You know, super excited to see Ed Howard drafted in 2020 for the Chicago Cubs in the first round. Just a phenomenal career ahead for the both of them. And our head coach, Brian Hurry, and PA announcer, Johnny Kay, caught up with the two rising stars as we round the bases with those two. Guys, take it away.
What's up, AT? What's up, Eddie? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
They're trying to come down to the greatest MC athlete of all time. How do you even come down to just one? It's going to be your work ethic, starting with that. People don't get to see you guys train and work the way I've got to see you guys. 6 a.m., grinding it out, you know, putting the time in, in the weight room with the med balls and the batting cage. And you guys are great for a reason.
I mean, you taught us that, you know, be a great teammate first, and that's the main thing. My freshman year against Simeon, when I hit a walk-off home, we knew some guys over on Simeon, so it was awesome.
And I'm wondering, you were probably in about 7th grade at the time?
Right, 7th grade. I remember
any chance you were there? Were you in the crowd for that?
No, I wasn't there, but my dad was, and he came home and he told me about it. Yeah, I think my favorite moment, like playing with Mount Carmel, would have to be my junior year, the game against St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence hit a grand slam in the top of the ninth, and then we came back in, we rallied up, we got the bases loaded. We had Big Ant hit a grand slam. I got on base, and I got over second base, and Diego run me in, and we walked it off. And I just feel like that game, just like the representation of what Carmel baseball is all about, like never giving up. Like everybody thought that game was over because it was getting late, down by 4, and then we chip away and score 5 runs the last inning.
Are there any athletes in the history of any of the sports that stand out to either one of you guys?
When I think of Carmel history and you talk about that 2013 state championship, is Jerry Houston. You know, that's a guy that I know personally, and when I think of Carmel, you know, that's one of my most favorite athletes that ever went through that program.
When people ask me, like, who went to Mount Carmel, I usually say Donovan McNabb, because he played multiple sports, because everyone's like, oh, okay, nice.
You guys were both excellent students at Mount Carmel. Alec, I'm going to start with you. If you had a teacher or class that you'd like to mention that stood out to you in your 4 years.
I think Miss Smola, because me and her had a good interactions, and she helped me, and she challenged me every day, and that's what I loved most about her. And she was always there for me, so I appreciate her.
One of my favorite teachers had to be Mr. Godinez. He just always kept it light. You know, he would get on us about doing the work and everything, you know, teaching us Spanish. But I remember every day I would walk into class and just start talking to him about anything in Spanish. Even though I know I didn't make any sense, he still was talking back, just trying to teach me. But he's just a good guy, man. He taught us a lot about Spanish and even, you know, about life.
It won't be long before I'm on a Zoom, hopefully with the 2 other guys that you're going to be saying, Alec Thomas, Ed Howard, you know, after your long major league careers and multiple all-star games. You know, I always say the best is yet to come.
All right, thanks again to Coach Hurry and Johnny Kay. Yes, the best is absolutely yet to come for AT and Silk. So best of luck to them as they continue their young careers in hopefully, making their way up to the Major League Baseball ladder. And again, just some phenomenal careers. But as we are getting closer and closer to the goal line, Jacko, we've also want to take a quick break before we go to the top 5 to welcome in our next guest, the Executive Vice President of Wintrust, our presenting sponsor of the Mount Carmel Night of Champions, Mr. Dan Harvey, class of 1995. Dan, thank you for joining us tonight.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. This is awesome. We're happy to be a part of it.
Well, thank you so much, too. So, Dan, we want to just jump into it. You know, working with Mount Carmel, tell us a little bit about the relationship that Wintrust and MC have had over these several years.
Yeah, you know, it goes back a while. There's a lot of relationships between, you know, our senior management and some of the folks at Carmel historically. So, but yeah, we provide, you know, the banking services for Carmel, and in return, you know, they're a great client of ours, and they give us the opportunity to sponsor and give back and to, you know, sponsor events like this, which are great for us because it's cool content.
Fantastic. Well, talking about this evening, too, with the Night of Champions, what do you think so far of the list?
I think it's pretty dead on. And the fact that, you know, Jordan brought up a good point that, you know, the fact that he's number 7 and he was number 1 at Northern just says a lot. I mean, when I was at Carmel, you know, you've got all these guys like, you know, McGrew and Antoine and Donovan and, Simeon and all these guys. I mean, there were so many good athletes at that time and just throughout history, but it was great to get to watch these guys play.
Now, we've heard 20 of the 25 top athletes. Can you tell me whose name have you not heard that you know for sure has got to be in the top 5?
Who's got to be in the top 5? I mean, Donovan's got to be, right?
Hey, we'll definitely see for that. Well,
I don't know.
Hey, well, you know what? We'll tell you in just a little bit, but just talking about some more too. Tell us a little bit about your Mount Carmel experience as well, and where it's led you to today.
Yeah, Carmel is a very special place. Obviously, you know, Carmel did great things for me. What I loved about Carmel was, you know, they'll kick your ass and they'll knock you down, but they'll be right there to pick you back up and get you on your way, and really, you know, provide you with the tools that you need to be successful in life, not only with work, but with your friends and most importantly with your family.
All right, again, this is Executive VP of Wintrust, our presenting sponsor here for the Night of Champions, Dan Harvey. Thank you again, Dan, for your time.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, perfect. Well, as we move on now, once again, folks, we are breaking into top 5 territory. And guess what? Dan was right with number 5. We jump into this one. The quarterback, the former quarterback from the Philadelphia Eagles, should I say, as we go into the count, is Donovan McNabb. As we go into this one from the class of 1992. McNabb, just a fantastic, or sorry, should I say 93, a quad athlete. So far, Jacko, and just what a phenomenal career for him. Top 5 career touchdowns, top 10 career passing yards, 20 in completion, and like I said, football, basketball, volleyball, track and field. Oh my goodness,
the guy could do it all.
What a list.
Yeah, I mean, Donovan McNabb, obviously it's come up time and time again. You look on Twitter, the name has come up time and time again. He's definitely a top 5 athlete, Mount Carmel, all time. I mean, the guy all work at the Eagle, you know, that he did with the Eagles, everything like that. But just his time at Mount Carmel alone, anything, you know, put aside all his time post high school, 1993 Lawless Award winner, you know, all state selection 93, all Catholic League, all of those things. Very well-deserved spot at number 5.
All right, well, Jacko, as we were mentioning too, top 5 career in touchdowns, top 10 career in passing yards, 93 team captain, 93 all-Catholic, 93 all-state, Lawless Award winner in that 93. 93 seemed to be a big year for Donovan for sure. And then he was also top 25 in basketball for career points, volleyball star, all-Catholic League honors in football, basketball, and volleyball, as we were mentioning. It just goes on and on for him. And we want to talk about, too, as we jump into number 4 territory now. Once again, we're diving into the pool. It's Mike Vlamis for class of 1976, the water polo team. Now we want to talk about Vlamis, too, with just helping lead Mount Carmel to the first ever state championship in water polo, the sole state title, too, for that team. He was also a Lawless Award winner, the co-captain of that winning water polo team, first team All-American, and is also inducted into the Catholic League Hall of Fame for the water polo team. Just outstanding stuff. And we want to welcome him as well via Zoom. We want to talk to Mr. Mike Vlamis, who joins us this evening. Mike, thank you so much, who is socially distancing with us and is Zooming. Mike, how you doing tonight?
Fine, thank you so much.
Mike.
I'm a little overwhelmed right now after seeing all the names of those great athletes, and many of them are my dear friends too. And you guys are doing a wonderful job this evening. I think I usually host this event live at the racetrack or Bourbon Street. I think you guys can take over. You're doing a much better job.
Well, Mike, we really appreciate all that you've done for the school, too, and we want to talk a little bit about the 1975 state championship team, too. Tell me a little bit about that magical season for the water polo team.
Well, it was magical. We had a bunch of great guys, came together as great teammates. Everybody knew their role. The biggest thing we did is we upset Fenwick, who had a 6-year winning streak. They hadn't lost a game in 144 games. 6 years straight, they hadn't lost. And we beat them on Halloween night. Triple overtime, sudden death, 17-16. We were so exhausted that the next day we played Oak Park for the state championship. We were losing 10-7 after the third quarter. We were exhausted. We wound up scoring 4 goals and shutting them out and winning the state championship 11-10. Those 2 events in my life formed my mentality to get over any obstacle or get over any task or do any job, and it did to my teammates as well. And I can't forget those two games.
Mike, so many emotions too. It seems like you're running through right now, and just going through this top 25 list. It seems like, as what Jordan Lynch said earlier today, just to be on this list means something. What does it mean not only to be on this top 25 list, but to be number 4?
I was shocked when my name came on the screen because I started coming to Mount Carmel in the 60s to watch, Lloyd Walton and Bill Trapp and Denny Connell and Bob Frazier. And then in the 70s, Pat Tumpain. And then guys who went to school with me, like my childhood best friend, Joe Tumpich, who was on the list and captained 3 sports. And then Jordan Lynch. My son played high school baseball with Jordan. They were teammates. And just the young kids, the old kids, Mount Carmel's great for many things. And one thing is the relationships and the bonds that we get with other players, teammates, athletes, but not just from our generation. I know guys from the 50s, the 60s, my 70s, but the 80s, the 90s. I'm so proud. I spoke to half a dozen Carmel guys today. So you can't beat that. You can't beat Mount Carmel for everything that it does to us. It makes you the person you are for the rest of your life.
Mike, rich in stories, rich in legacy, and rich in so many different ways when it comes to remembering athletes. And Jacko, I know, wants to test to make sure that you can recall some stories. Jacko, I know you wanted to talk to Mike about the state final run. Go for it.
Yeah, I heard a rumor, Mike, and you can tell me if this is true. Is it true that every year on the day you beat Fenwick, you call one of the teammates, one of the guys from Fenwick? Is that true? And second, why is he still picking up your phone calls?
It's a true story. His name's Joe Wendt. He was the captain, and he was handsome and in great shape, and 144-game winner and 6 years undefeated. Well, we beat him on Halloween night, 1975, and it's a true story. I call him every Halloween, and I say, "Trick or treat, Joe." He texted me today and said, "Happy Valentine's Day, V-Man. I love you." That's how close I became with some of these guys. My co-captain was Mike Blake. I once bit him on the shoulder at a timeout, and he was bleeding. And that's a true story too. But yeah, Mike Blake and I became best friends, and Joe Wendt is scared and afraid of Mike Blake and Mike Vlamis to this day.
I want trick or treat. I want to ask, and I'll keep it clean too for our family viewers at home. Is it kind of like a John McClane Die Hard delivery where you say "yippee-ki-yay" every time you give him that call?
Yeah, but without the next 2 words.
All right.
But it's amazing that how I don't want to use the word hate because I hate no one, but it's amazing the dislike we have for our opponents in grammar school, in high school, in college. But they're just like us. Only they happen to be from the west side or the far north side. And I'm friends with some of these opponents to this day. I played AAU water polo till I was 32 years old. And some of those guys were on my AAU team, and we traveled the country together. So just because they went to Fenwick, Loyola, Rice, doesn't mean you can't be friends with them.
All right, Mike. Well, before we let you go, too, we want to ask, do you still have that state championship ring on you right now?
No, but I have lots of state championship paraphernalia around my house. My wife, she can't stand that I have these pictures and these water polo balls and these trophies, and she says the basement's like a shrine to you. She doesn't come down in the basement because it's a shrine to Mount Carmel.
All right, well, that's fantastic. Number 4 from the class of 1976, from the team to the sole team to win a state championship in water polo from 75, Mr. Mike Vlamis. Well, congratulations again. Thanks for joining us, Mike, as with all tricks, or well, actually all treats, no tricks, should I say. Thank you so much again for your time, Mike.
Thank you. Great job, guys. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Have a great one. All right, as we move on now, Jacko, too, as we talk about some future events and, once again, ways to contribute for tonight's evening. Jacko, great night so far. So we're seeing some great things on Twitter, and we want to make sure to remind the folks at home that there's ways that they can contribute this evening.
Yeah, besides interacting with us on Twitter, you can, all the ways we've been talking about all night to give. Text MC to 243-725. Hit us up on Venmo. at Mount Carmel, Mount-Carmel. You can mail a check. You can still mail a check to Mount Carmel, attention Knight of Champions, 6410 South Dante. Any of those ways to give, anything you can give, any little amount is still a big deal for Mount Carmel. You got to remember, we had to cancel a lot of fundraisers this year, so this is a big one. And then, so we do have the big raffle coming up. There's only 5 athletes to go. But before that, we're going to remind you to mark your calendars, because on July 9th, we have the annual Frank Kishka Memorial Golf Outing held at Cog Hill Golf Course. So come on out and spend some time with your fellow alums and great supporters of Mount Carmel. Look for more information in the coming months. But speaking of Frank Kishka, during a night when we're honoring athletes, right, we can't forget the coaches, the statisticians, the volunteers that make this whole thing possible, and of which Frank was all 3. Right. And so I reached out to one of my good friends, Jim Easterhouse, who's actually was relative of Frank Kishka, and he wanted me to pass along this note from the family. Alongside his family and his faith, nothing meant more to Frank than Mount Carmel. Frank devoted his energy to supporting students throughout their journey at 6410. The most selfless man I ever met, said Jim. Frank embodied being a man of Carmel by introducing students to the honor of being a member of the MC community, while aiding anyone who needed help along the way. Whether a member of the football coaching staff or current student learning about the rich history of MC, as long as Frank was watching this event with someone who loved Mount Carmel, he would have loved this historic commemoration of the top 25. And Jim wanted me to also add that there is a good chance that if Frank were here today, he would definitely be on the couch with a nice cigar, and he can't guarantee it, but possibly some polka music in the background. So, but before I hand it back to Pablo, we have one last fun sponsor that we need to acknowledge. Let's take a look.
This segment is brought to you by First Floor Bathroom. Are you claustrophobic but also need to go to the bathroom? Well, do I have a place for you? The First Floor Bathroom has all the amenities you're looking for with none of the stall doors. That's right, it's a loo with a view of everyone else in the bathroom. It's also brought to you by The Old Gym. Have you ever wondered what 100 plus years of teenage boy workouts smell like? No? How about a place that's both freezing cold and unbearably hot at the same time? Well then, you'll love it here. Visit The Old Gym today, just steps away from the First Floor Bathroom.
Well, Jacko, we're actually in the old gym right now, too. And, I don't think I'm catching a must or anything or a smell like that. It smells great in here, even though I do see the wrestling mats over to my right now as I just take a look over there. But it's all right. It's all right, folks. But thank you again for all of our unique in-house sponsors for the evening as we just continue the talk so far as we get closer and closer to that countdown for number 1. But we want to go with a trio as we start out with number 3 remaining on the list. We've got Mr. Frank Pin from the 50s. My goodness, what a great athlete here, too, for the Caravan from 1953. Frank, the incredible running back for Mount Carmel, the MVP of the 1952 team, part of 3 city championship teams. Jacko, just really great to see him at number 3.
Oh, absolutely. Very well deserved. I mean, you look at some of these stats, all Catholic League, all state. I mean, Frank Pin is one of the names that when you come to Mount Carmel, you hear legend, like the stories of Frank Pin. And, I got Twitter pulled up here, and I got Frank Pin's name has come up multiple times. At this point, it might be trending on the South Side. I'm not sure. But a very well-deserved spot at number 3. I mean, the guy was an athlete, if there was an athlete.
Frank Pin especially going hand in hand with Mount Carmel sports when we come to talk about it. So much history, should I say, excuse me. So much history, so many different stories. Really just a lot to think about when it comes to the Caravan. And Frank Pin Jr. caught up with Frank Pin Sr., who was at number 3, and they got to talk a lot about Caravan history. Here's Jr. talking to Sr.
And I was blessed to have the opportunity to play football at a legendary school and then go on to other higher things. This was a great time of my life, and it still is all through these years. This is all about family. We are family. Thank you.
We're blessed. Thank you for having me get to Mount Carmel. It's like you talked about, it's a family. Hey, Papa, love you. It's great job.
All right, well, congratulations again to Frank Pin at number 3. Just fantastic football star in the 50s for the Caravan. And thank you for Junior to talking to Senior. Folks, we're getting closer and closer. And guess what? We're going to go with number 2 now, Jacko. I think it's time we get ready to rock and roll. At number 2 now for the all-time list is none other than the two-sport star, Mr. John Calvano, folks, from the class of 1976, the two-sport star, leading the football team in scoring in 75 and 76. Jacko, we're getting closer and closer, but tell me a little bit about John Calvano from 1976, man.
Yeah, I mean, before I talk about Frank, I was saying Frank Pinn's name you hear, John Calvano. You can't talk to any alum, especially in the 70s. I mean, look at all the guys we've had from the 70s. We're talking to Mike Lamas, all these big names that come out. John Calvano is definitely one of the names that needs to be mentioned when you talk about Mount Carmel athletes, the 70s, Mount Carmel history, any of those things. He is a staple in the Mount Carmel sports world, and much deserved number 2. I mean, two-sport athlete, not hard, not the easiest thing to do, right? It's 2 very hard sports. But the crazy thing is, very good football, earned a baseball scholarship. That just goes to show you he can do anything.
Exactly. Went on to play baseball at Arizona State, so fantastic, and congratulations to him on number 2. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time. If you want to do the drum roll at home, please go ahead and do so, because it is finally time to answer the big question that we have just been thinking about tonight as we take a look at all of this, folks. Number 1, the Mount Carmel greatest athlete of all time is none other than the wrestler Joe Williams. And folks, my goodness, the stat sheet is absolutely loaded when we talk about the 1993 grad, the 4-time state champion in wrestling. He wrestled right here in the alumni gym, coached by Hall of Famers Bill Weck and Ron Oglesby. And guess what, Jacko? An overall record, get this, 148-1. We'll talk about that one loss in a second and what that meant. A 4-time state champion, and he was at the time the second class AA wrestler to win 4 individual state champions, and to this day he is just the 3rd person overall to do that.
I mean, we could talk his stats all day, but the one that always sticks out to me, 148-1. That number to me is crazy. I mean, I wonder if he ever got at 135. Was he ever just I think I could do this. This is getting pretty close. But I mean, his name is actually right behind you too in the Ring of Honor, and it's very well deserved. I was talking to some friends not too long ago, and I was mentioning who do you think is the greatest athlete of all time? And my good friend Ryan Fitzpatrick jumped in front of the whole conversation and said, hands down, without a doubt, if it's not Joe Williams, it's wrong. And he said he started rattling. He knew his stats by the back of his hand. I couldn't agree more with this number 1. Joe Williams, best athlete of all time out of Mount Carmel. I think his stats speak for themselves, but also just an all-around great guy.
The stats speak for themselves, but we're going to give him a chance to speak for himself as well. We've got the number 1 athlete in Mount Carmel history now, the top athlete of all time, Mr. Joe Williams. Joe, thank you so much for joining us, and knowing that you're number 1 now, you're at top of the list. Congratulations. How's it feel?
Tell you what, I've got some chills running up my spine, and just I mean, what a great honor to be amongst the history of the program, and just among great athletes. And so it's truly an honor to be recognized there.
Well, again, congratulations. And we talk about the thing that Jacko and I have just been bouncing off each other, your fantastic record of 148-1. Now, I do want to talk about that one loss because it did come in a different situation. So your one loss career-wise actually only came when you slammed down your opponent and you were actually disqualified. Can you recall how you felt during that whole thing?
Yeah, it was a big dual meet against St. Lawrence, and they moved up. I think his name was Vince Cascone, or St. Lawrence, and they moved him up a weight class. And so I was a bigger athlete for my weight, and big dual meet, and lifted him up, returned him to the mat without control, and he jumped up and wanted to wrestle. And this was probably the hardest thing that I probably had to deal with in the sport. He looked over at his coach, and his coach told him to lay down. And that was the loss that I suffered my freshman year. I came off the mat, and my grade school coach, or my high school coach, Bill Wick, said, "Hey, you still got the rest of the season. You still need to pick up yourself and still compete. And so that was a lesson learned at that time that, you still need to, compete.
Joe, wrestling under Bill Wick, tell me a little bit about what you've learned from him and what it was like having him as a head coach.
Bill Wick was, he was a really, fun coach. He was one that could motivate you, one that would talk to you and just kind of ease the circumstances. I remember at my final match, going for my 4th title, we're standing in the Grand March, and he looks around and he says, "You know what? I think they're going to start thinking something about us. This is the 4th time we've been here." And, that just kind of made me laugh and made me smile and just kind of calmed the nerves a little bit. But Coach Wick was always the type of coach that could certainly get you motivated and ready to wrestle.
As we said, the numbers speak for itself, too. 4-time state champion, but as you can imagine, 4 years as a state champ, your freshman year to your senior year. What was different about freshman season to senior season when you entered the state final?
I think freshman year was just, the unexpected, the unknown. I had Coach Wick there just to kind of really, calm me down. Hey, this is just another match. This is something that we need to do. And, if you're going to win it for 4 titles, you got to start here. And so that kind of put things in perspective. Then every year after that, it was a little bit easier. Then I said, like my senior year became more of a, hey, let's finish this thing off. We started it. And so, the thing about Coach Wick, he always made sure that I had plenty of practice partners, and I was looking ahead, not just for winning, but also kind of what that's going to do for your life, trying to get into the University of Iowa and things like that.
Well, Joe, tell us a little bit about, too, after, you graduated from 64-10, you came out a 4-time state champ. The team also won 2 state titles as a team during your time here at Mount Carmel. What are you up to now?
So, coach in high school, I'll tell you the kind of an eerie, story here, but the day I was given the keys to the high school wrestling program, so we're a brand new high school. This is just our fourth year. The day that Coach Wick passed away was the day that I was given the keys to the high school. So it was almost kind of like a passing the torch for me, and I kind of looked at that as an opportunity to really give back to the sport, some of the things that I've learned through the courses of being underneath him and some other great coaches. And so right now, today, as I'm receiving this honor, we've also made history by having a freshman qualify for the state tournament. So everything kind of comes full circle. So this is a great honor, but and also just makes you think that the Lord does work in mysterious ways to come full circle to give back to a sport that I love.
All right, Joe, well, as we talk about, too, outside of wrestling, what else do you think that you took away, or was your biggest takeaway, should I say, from being a student here at Mount Carmel that still lives with you?
I say the friends, the connections, the memories that we share. Some of your toughest practices, your friends, those things you never forget. Just remember freshman year showing up to practice 10 or 15 minutes late, and Coach Wick just kind of yelling at me, "Hey, where are you at? You should have been here. It's 15 minutes late. I'm sweating. And, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, well, Coach, I just ran 2 miles." So, things like that, you just kind of look back on that kind of set the tone for the rest of our team, and just how I approach the sport of wrestling, just coming in ready to work and ready to learn, and being a sponge and taking all the advice I could get.
Well, again, we're sitting here with the top Caravan athlete of all time, Mr. Joe Williams, again at number 1. Congratulations to Joe. And before we let you go, Joe, just what does it mean to be number 1 with all the athletes that have been mentioned, all the athletes that have been nominated? You're the top guy. How's that feel?
It's definitely a special honor. I mean, I look at some of the names, and it just really kind of solidifies, the things that I've, worked for throughout my life is just really to kind of, set myself apart as, competition wise, but just being amongst the individuals. I think that says a lot about the program, says a lot about the school, says a lot about those other athletes too, that, we're a family, and we're always there for each other.
All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for joining us, too, and congratulations on being named the top athlete of all time in Mount Carmel history. Just fantastic numbers as we read here from Joe. And we want to take a look one more time as we just revealed 6 through 1 right before we get to the raffle in just a little bit, folks, because, Jacko, what a list. And now we know that Joe Williams is at the top. We've got the whole 25 ready to go. My goodness, what an evening it's been.
What an evening. I mean, Pablo, first of all, you're doing a great job. Like, we have had so much fun throughout this night. Listen, the top 25 guys, this is to be debated, right? If you don't agree, if you think we missed somebody, mention us out on Twitter. Let's have a conversation. And wherever you are right now, Tapster, Cork and Carry, your couch, talk to the people around you. Text your friends. Tell them, like, hey, did you see Joe Williams is #1? Like, very well deserved. Let us know your thoughts, but overall, what a fantastic night. Really fun, great fundraiser. This is such a fun idea, and I'm honored to have been asked to be a part of it alongside you, Pablo. You and I go way back, and it's fun to team up again like the old days to count down the top 25 of all time.
Likewise, Jacko, it's fun to be back in the saddle and join you, too. Just love being a part of this. Thank you to Mount Carmel for having the both of us for this as we look at the top 6 athletes that we have just revealed, all the way up to #1. We got Alec Thomas at #6, Donovan McNabb #5, and of course, actually funny too, Donovan wearing the #5, and look at that, he's in 5. #4, Mike Valamis, who we talked about trick or treat with that was just lovely, and Frank Pinn at #3. #2, Sean Calvano, and once again, just recently revealing the big wrestler, Mr. Joe Williams at #1. And as we previewed a great conversation with Frank Pinn Jr. and Frank Pinn Sr., we want to go a little bit back and listen to more of that chat.
Dad, thanks so much for taking the time. Mom, thank you so much as well. I really appreciate you spending some time with us. Mount Carmel is honoring the greatest athlete of all time, and you're fortunate to be one of those that has been nominated. Playing in the 50s, 3 Prep Bowls, an All-American, All-State, just an amazing career at Mount Carmel.
I'm really impressed by what is being done at Mount Carmel and the best education the Carmelites gave me, not only education in books and so forth, but real life on the streets and on the football team.
I put up some of your trophies here. It was so much fun to go into your trunk and look at all the press clippings, all the awards. This is my favorite. You have a lot of different honors and trophies, but this brass football shoe is really incredible. It's Chicago Sun-Times most valuable player.
I was blessed with the ability to play football, go to school there, and meet all the students and the parents and the fans. It was a blessed God who gave me the ability to play these games and to get out there and work with Mount Carmel coaches and teachers. They carried me along, brought me into real life.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I mean, you had some incredible players with you, the teammates, obviously the front line blocking for you to make it easy for you to score all those touchdowns.
I couldn't have done all this winning unless it was a teamwork, and I think that's what it's all about. Mount Carmel was great. They taught me how to be a man and grow up, and I was blessed to have the opportunity to play football at a legendary school and then go on to other higher things. This was a great time of my life, and it still is all through these years. This is all about family. We are family. Thank you.
We're blessed. Thank you for having me get to Mount Carmel. It's like you talked about. It's a family. Hey, Papa, love you. It's great job.
All right, well, thank you so much to everybody who joined us, and thank you, too, to our great sponsors here for the Virtual Night of Champions, talking about the top athlete of all time here, presented by Wintrust and our other great sponsors as well. Just a fantastic, fantastic evening. And we also want to thank Pat Galata from the class of 1986 and the fantastic team at Intersport that has given us, and I wish you could really see what the full setup is. We've got lights, we've got multi-cameras, we've got Jacko on the big screen right over here. I mean, they really went all out, so we really want to thank them for that too. Also, a big shout out to Denise Carey, Ellie Menke, Milka Katan, and Julie Lucker for making this night happen. Thank you. Or Jill Lucker, excuse me. But before we wrap up this evening, I'm joined with President Ned Hughes. Ned, what a fantastic night we have had so far. And even in a year, too, where we've had to cancel some fundraisers and all that, we're really seeing this one come together. What's it like seeing the Night of Champions go this way?
Thanks, Pablo. This has been a great night. As you said, Intersport, yourself, Jacko, all the people here at Mount Carmel that have worked hard to make this evening happen. It's been a tough year, with the COVID and the restrictions that we've had, not able to have fundraisers. And we came up with this idea, after watching last year's NFL Top 100 Players. I thought, wow, it would really be great for Mount Carmel with so many great athletes. And you guys have all said it so many times this evening. We showed the top 25, but really we could have showed the top 500 at this school because it's fabulous. So tonight's event has been, so far the preliminary numbers are good. But having said that, this is a fundraiser. We're a Catholic school, guys. And as always, you can't have a successful Catholic event without asking for money. So there's still time. Even after tonight's event, there's still time to pull out your wallets, make donations to Mount Carmel, help these young men that are playing at sports here at school. And it's greatly appreciated. It truly is.
And one of the ways you could contribute tonight was actually purchasing a raffle ticket, and I think we've got a little bit of a chance to do that. Also, quick shout out to visit the Spirit Shop too for some throwbacks. Ned, let's talk about the top three and who we're unveiling for the grand raffle. Split the pot.
Okay, we have three prize winners tonight, and again, this is a fundraiser. So when we have these kind of raffles, we love 3 words: keep the money. So we'll pull those out one at a time. The first one is our third prize, which is a $1,000. If I can get this unhooked.
It's always a tricky one. I don't know if the latch needs to go up.
This is the drum that we use for fight night.
It's live TV, folks. Or live streaming, should I say. And the first one for the third place prize?
The first one, class of 1995. I know he's watching tonight. Mike Dagler.
All right. Mike Dagler, third prize. All
Mike,
right.
Don't forget, keep the money. Let's see here.
And we've got second place.
Second place, $2,500. Class of 1983. Bought several tickets today, as a matter of fact. Chuck Tolan. Congratulations, Chuck.
All right. And last but certainly not least for the grand prize, Ned, do the honors. Go for it.
Okay, for our $4,000 winner, Ryan Phelps. Played football. He wants his donation to go to support the football program. Thank you.
All right. Well, congratulations, Ryan. Congratulations to all our winners. And thank you, everybody. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to everybody who made this evening happen. On behalf of Mount Carmel High School here, too, I am Pablo Iglesias alongside Jacko Carey, giving you the top 25 athletes of all time here in Caravan history. Once again, we'd love to thank the people over here at Intersport. Congratulations to the raffle winners. And it's time for us to sign off, Jacko. But before we go, real quick, what'd you think of the evening?
Oh, my gosh, couldn't have gone any better. I had a blast. I know you did. Great trip down memory lane. And, just Mount Carmel's one of the greatest places ever. That's the thing we all have in common. And as many times as we can come together and relive our stories, I'll always be there, wearing my ring, very proud. And I hope everyone else can join us in future events. And hopefully they're in person soon. But this was a fantastic virtual fundraiser.
All right, Ned, any last words?
Just thank everybody. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you, guys. You guys did a great job. Tonight was as professional as a high school could possibly ever do. So thanks much.
All right, folks. Well, that's all we've got for tonight. Once again, we want to thank you, the viewers at home, you, the viewers at Cork and Kerry, at Tapser, wherever you're watching tonight. And thank you also for contributing for tonight's fantastic program here. Once again, alongside Jacko Carey, I'm Pablo Iglesias, from the class of 2013, making sure that you guys stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us for the virtual Night of Champions. And once again, to quote Brian Hurry, make today the best day of your life. We'll see you.